It's kind of wild to think about, but medical breakthroughs, they're practically a dime a dozen these days.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's good to take a step back and imagine what it was like before all these
Oh,
advancements.
absolutely.
Go back to the late 1930s. Medical tech back then, pretty limited.
Oh, yeah. Doctors were really up against it.
That's where our story starts. In the basement of Borges Hospital in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Kalamazoo.
Yep. And it's there we find Dr. Homer Stryker, an orthopedic surgeon, not sleeping but inventing, night after night.
That's dedication for you.
He was frustrated, the tools, the equipment, just not good enough for his patients.
Makes sense. You got the best for your patients, right?
Exactly. And those late nights in the basement, that's how Stryker Corporation was born.
Wow. From a hospital basement to a global company. That's quite a journey.
That's what we're going to uncover in this deep dive. We're going to trace how Stryker evolved from Dr. Stryker's early inventions, born out of necessity, to its current status as a global medical technology giant.
I'm definitely curious to hear more about those early inventions. They must have been revolutionary for their time.
Oh, they were. We've got company histories, archives, all sorts of fascinating stuff to dig into.
It's interesting how often medical progress comes from those on the front lines. Doctors, nurses, they experience the limitations firsthand.
Exactly. And they're the ones who are driven to find solutions. Like Dr. Stryker. We'll be covering some key milestones. The turning frame bed, how it changed patient care, the Circ-O-Lectric bed, its unique design, Stryker's expansion into orthopedics, implants, and more, the whole Mako surgical acquisition, and the robotic surgery revolution.
Robotic surgery, now that's a game changer.
Totally. And then, more recently, their push into digital healthcare. It's fascinating to see how one surgeon's ingenuity grew into this massive force in modern medicine.
All right, I'm ready. Let's go back to the beginning.
Okay, picture this. Late 1930s, Dr. Stryker, the only orthopedic specialist in his region, is constantly dealing with complex cases.
I bet he had his hands full.
Oh, he did. But the equipment, it just wasn't up to par. He couldn't provide the level of care he wanted to with what was available.
That's frustrating. You have the knowledge, the skills, but the tools are holding you back.
That's what fueled his drive to invent. He wasn't content with the status quo. He saw the limitations, the struggles of his patients, and he thought, there has to be a better way.
That's what innovation is all about, right?
Yeah.
Recognizing a need and filling that gap.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he did. His first big invention, the turning frame bed, came out of a very real need. Imagine trying to reposition a patient with a serious spinal injury.
Oh, that's got to be difficult and dangerous for both the patient and the caregiver.
Exactly. It was risky, physically demanding, and could potentially worsen the injury. So Dr. Stryker creates this bed frame, the turning frame. It allowed nurses to safely turn patients from their stomach to their back without compromising their spine.
I see. So it's keeping the spine immobilized while allowing for safe repositioning. Smart.
Exactly. It made a huge difference for patient comfort and safety, and for the nurses, it was a game changer. No more backbreaking work and less risk of injury to themselves.
It's amazing how a simple mechanical solution can have such a profound impact on people's lives.
And that impact was quickly recognized. During World War II, the U.S. Army needed a way to safely transport and care for soldiers with spinal injuries. They ordered as many turning frames as Dr. Stryker's little workshop could produce.
Wow.
But there was a problem. Material shortages due to the war effort. So what did he do? Partnered with a local toy wagon factory.
A toy wagon factory. Talk about thinking outside the box.
You gotta do what you gotta do. That's pure ingenuity and resourcefulness. It's a testament to his dedication to helping those soldiers.
I bet those turning frames made a world of difference for those wounded soldiers.
Absolutely. And that wasn't the end of his inventions. In 1947, he patented the oscillating cast saw. Remember how removing casts used to be? Well, pretty scary.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine the anxiety. You never knew if they were going to nick your skin.
Exactly. That was a real fear. But Dr. Stryker's saw could cut through the plaster without harming the skin underneath. It brought peace of mind to patients and doctors alike.
That's such a simple but brilliant solution. It really speaks to his understanding of practical needs in the medical field.
And then he developed a walking heel for leg casts.
A walking heel.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, a small addition that gave patients so much more freedom and mobility while they healed.
It's all about improving the quality of life.
Exactly. It's not just about treating the injury, but helping people get back to their lives.
That's a really holistic approach to patient care.
Seeing the demand for his inventions grow, He officially founded the Orthopedic Frame Company in 1941.
The beginning of Stryker Corporation as we know it today.
Right. It was a small company, but with a big mission: make healthcare better. It was about more than just profits. It was about making a real difference. And that, I think, is at the heart of what Stryker is all about.
That's a solid foundation.
Yeah,
Makes you understand why they've been so successful.
totally. Now, fast forward to the 1950s. Dr. Stryker keeps innovating, and in 1956, he unveils something pretty amazing: the Circ-O-Lectric Bed.
Circ-O-Lectric sounds intriguing.
Oh, it was. Picture a giant Ferris wheel for humans.
A Ferris wheel. For real.
Seriously. This bed had a large metal hoop that held the patient, and it could rotate them a full 210 degrees using an electric motor.
Wow. That's going from a simple mechanical design to something much more complex.
It was, and it was way ahead of its time.
I can only imagine what people thought when they first saw this thing.
Right. It was revolutionary. The benefits were huge. Nurses could easily reposition patients with the push of a button, no more heavy lifting. Plus, patients could control their own position, which meant less risk of bed sores and better breathing. It was a win-win for everyone.
So it improves patient comfort, makes things easier for the caregivers, and even reduces potential complications. That's thinking ahead.
It's about seeing the whole picture, and this wasn't just some random idea. It came directly from Dr. Stryker observing the challenges in hospitals.
You can really see that patient-centric approach in all his inventions.
Absolutely. Throughout the 1950s, the company, still known as the Orthopedic Frame Company, was growing steadily. Dr. Stryker was still doing surgery and running the company.
He must have been a busy man.
Oh, yeah. He had a small team, local craftsmen, even some former patients who believed in his vision. They built everything by hand, tested it right there in the hospital.
Talk about a hands-on approach.
Right. Then, in 1955, his son, Lee Stryker, joined as general manager. This was a turning point. It allowed Dr. Stryker to focus more on the inventing, the engineering, while his son handled the business side of things.
That makes sense, bringing in fresh blood, new perspectives to help the company grow.
Exactly. And by 1958, they hit a big milestone: over $1 million in annual sales. They were no longer just a small workshop. They were a legitimate medical supply company with a reputation for quality and innovation.
So they were starting to make a real impact, reaching more hospitals and patients.
They were. And their reputation was spreading beyond Michigan. It was the start of something big. The combination of Dr. Stryker's ingenuity and Lee's business skills proved to be a winning formula.
It sounds like they had a great partnership.
They did. But as we move into the 1960s, things take a bit of a turn. In 1964, Dr. Stryker decides to fully commit to the company. He retires from his medical practice and renames the company to Stryker Corporation.
Stryker Corporation, that's a big move, putting the family name on it.
It was. It showed they were in it for the long haul. It wasn't just about the frame bed anymore. They were expanding, evolving.
So they're broadening their scope, becoming more than just a single product company.
Exactly. And that's exactly what they did. They started developing new surgical instruments, early power tools for operating rooms, and they moved into a bigger headquarters, still in Kalamazoo. They had hundreds of employees now.
Wow, that's quite the growth spurt.
It was. And even though they were growing, the focus was still on improving patient care. Dr. Stryker would often say their goal was helping patients lead healthier, more active lives.
That's a powerful mission statement. It's not just about products, it's about the impact they have.
Exactly. In 1969, Lee Stryker became president and COO. He was guiding the company, diversifying into medical equipment, implants. They were up to 280 employees, nearly $10 million in sales by the mid-70s.
So they're establishing themselves as a real force in the industry, not just in beds, but in surgical tools and implants, too.
That's right. It was a time of growth and optimism. But then tragedy struck. In 1976, Lee Stryker, his wife, and 2 friends died in a plane crash.
Oh, that's terrible. Such a sudden loss.
It was devastating for the family, the company, everyone. Dr. Stryker, in his 80s, had to step back in, at least temporarily. It was a test of the company's strength, its resilience.
I can't imagine what that must have been like, to lose your son and then have to shoulder the responsibility of the company he was leading.
It was a dark time. But the employees, they rallied. They supported the Stryker family, and they were determined to keep Lee and Dr. Stryker's vision alive.
That speaks volumes about the kind of company they built, a true sense of community.
To secure the company's future, they brought in John W. Brown as the new CEO in 1977. He was an engineer, a businessman, and he understood Stryker's unique culture.
So he was brought in to lead the company through a difficult time while honoring its legacy.
That's right. Brown came in and saw the potential. He wanted to keep that small company spirit, that agility, that creativity, even as they grew, and boy, did they grow.
So he was tasked with steering the ship while navigating the grief and uncertainty of the time. That's a tough job.
It was, but he did a remarkable job. In 1979, Stryker went public with its IPO. This brought in the capital they needed to expand even further. And that same year, Brown made a really smart acquisition, Osteonics Corporation.
Osteonics, what do they do?
Orthopedic implants, things like hip and knee replacements, plates, screws for fractures. It was a game changer.
I see. That's a major strategic move. They're going from equipment around the patient to devices inside the patient.
Exactly. It was a huge step into the core of the orthopedic market. Suddenly, Stryker wasn't just helping with recovery. They were helping people regain their mobility, their lives.
It's a whole different level of impact. And it shows they were thinking long-term, recognizing the potential of the implant market.
They were. And Brown wasn't done. He took them into endoscopy, craniofacial implants, expanded their sales globally.
So he's diversifying their portfolio, making them less reliant on any single product.
Smart move. It made them more resilient. Then, in 1998, he made a really bold move. He acquired Howmedica, the orthopedic division of Pfizer, for $1.65 billion.
Wow, that's a big one.
Huge. Howmedica was a giant in joint replacements. This acquisition instantly made Stryker a top global orthopedic company. It basically doubled their size overnight.
That's how you make a statement. It must send shockwaves through the industry.
Oh, yeah. By the end of the 1990s, they were a multi-division corporation with over $2 billion in sales. They had implants, trauma devices, beds, surgical instruments, imaging systems. They were everywhere.
From a basement workshop to a global powerhouse in just a few decades. It's remarkable.
It is, and they had this reputation for quality, reliability. In 2000, they joined the S&P 500. They were officially a big deal.
That's a mark of true success, recognition from the wider business world.
But even with all this growth, they never lost that core culture. Brown pushed for performance, ambitious goals, but he also emphasized Dr. Stryker's legacy, that focus on the patient.
That's so important, to maintain that core identity even as you grow and change.
It is. They became known for high ethical standards, empowering employees. One author even called them a hidden champion.
Hidden champion. I like that. It's about quietly dominating your market through excellence and innovation.
Exactly. Brown did an incredible job. By the time he retired in 2003, he had turned Stryker into a world-class medical technology leader.
He left some big shoes to fill.
He did. But they found the right person. In 2003, Stephen P. McMillan took over as president and CEO.
So a new millennium, a new leader. What was his vision for the company?
McMillan was all about preserving Stryker's culture while also pushing for even more growth. He understood the challenge of following Brown, but he was ready.
It's a delicate balance, right? Maintaining the core while still pushing for innovation and expansion?
Absolutely. And McMillan did just that. In the mid-2000s, Stryker kept expanding through acquisitions. They got into spine surgery, acquiring companies like Surgical Dynamics and SpineCore, bringing in artificial disc technology.
So they're diving deeper into specialized areas, building on their existing strengths.
They also expanded into neurosurgery, neurovascular, recognizing the growing need for treatments for stroke and brain-related conditions.
It's about identifying those high-growth areas and positioning yourself strategically.
Exactly. And they didn't stop there. They acquired Plasmasol, a company with low-temperature sterilization tech, a perfect fit for their medical equipment division. Then, Sightline Technologies in 2006, giving them entry into flexible endoscopy, those cameras for GI procedures.
Wow. So they're really building a comprehensive suite of products and services. It's like a one-stop shop for hospitals.
That's the idea. And they were also paying attention to the bigger picture. In 2009, they acquired Ascent Healthcare, a leader in reprocessing used medical devices.
Reprocessing, so making medical devices reusable.
Exactly. It addressed growing concerns about hospital costs, waste reduction, and environmental sustainability.
That's a smart move. It aligns with the growing emphasis on sustainability in healthcare.
It does. It showed they were thinking about the long-term impact, not just the immediate bottom line. This led to their Sustainability Solutions division, helping hospitals reuse devices safely and cost-effectively.
It's about being responsible, finding solutions that are good for the environment and good for business.
By 2010, sales hit $7.3 billion, with 17,000 employees globally, operating in over 75 countries. They had become a truly global company.
From Kalamazoo to the world. That's impressive.
But they didn't lose sight of what made them successful. Innovation. Macmillan constantly emphasized that innovation is in our DNA.
It's about keeping that core principle alive no matter how big you get.
Exactly, and it paid off. In 2011, they made Fortune's 100 Best Companies to Work For list.
Well-deserved recognition. It shows they were creating a positive and engaging workplace.
They did have some challenges. Product recalls happen, regulatory scrutiny is always there, but they navigated it all well. By the start of the 2010s, they were strong, stable, ready for whatever came next.
So they were well positioned to ride the next wave of medical technology advancements.
And that wave was coming. In 2012, Kevin A. Lobo became the new CEO.
A new leader again. What was his background?
He came from Johnson & Johnson, a seasoned executive with a global perspective. His mission: keep Stryker at the forefront of technology and expand even further internationally.
Sounds like the perfect person for the job.
He was. One of the first things he oversaw was the 2011 acquisition of Boston Scientific's neurovascular division. This boosted Stryker's offerings for stroke and brain aneurysm treatment, putting them in a leading position in neurosurgery.
So they're continuing that strategy of targeted acquisitions, strengthening their position in key areas.
Exactly. But the big story of the 2010s was their move into robotic surgery. In 2013, they acquired Mako Surgical Core for $1.65 billion. Mako was a pioneer in robotic arm-assisted surgery.
Robotic surgery, that's a game changer. What was their technology like?
It was cutting edge. Surgeons could use a robotic arm and 3D computer guidance to do joint replacements with amazing precision. At first, it was mainly used for partial knee and hip replacements.
I can imagine some people were skeptical. Robotics in surgery was still pretty new back then.
Oh, they were. Some thought it was too expensive, just a fad. But Stryker had a bigger vision. They saw the potential of robotics to revolutionize orthopedics.
It was a bold bet. They put a lot of faith in this technology.
They did. And it paid off. They invested heavily in developing and refining the Mako system. In 2017, they launched the Mako Total Knee application. Now, surgeons could do full knee replacements with robotic assistance.
That's a huge step. They're essentially offering a complete package, the implant and the technology to implant it with precision.
And the benefits were clear. Surgeons reported faster recovery times, less pain for patients. Hospitals, initially hesitant, saw the value. Better outcomes, potentially fewer readmissions. By the end of the decade, the Mako robot was a flagship product, a symbol of Stryker's evolution into digital healthcare.
So they're not just a medical device company anymore. They're a technology company leading the way in digital healthcare.
That's a great way to put it. Now, picture a typical joint replacement with the Mako system.
Let's hear it.
The surgeon takes a CT scan of the patient's joint, and the Mako system turns it into a 3D model. This lets them plan the surgery in meticulous detail. Then, during the surgery, the robotic arm guides the surgeon's hand, ensuring incredibly precise bone cuts, often with sub-millimeter accuracy.
Wow, that's incredible precision. It must be like having a super steady hand.
Exactly. And there's this thing called haptic feedback. The surgeon can feel if they're going off course, which helps protect the surrounding tissues. The surgeon is still in control, but the robot provides this incredible level of accuracy.
It's a true partnership between human expertise and robotic precision, working together to achieve the best outcome.
Exactly. And the impact has been huge. Stryker has hit the milestone of 100,000 Mako-assisted surgeries worldwide.
That's a lot of patients potentially benefiting from faster recoveries and better outcomes.
Absolutely. And they're still pushing forward. They're already working on adapting Mako for spine and shoulder surgeries.
It's like they're on a mission to bring robotics to every area of orthopedics.
They are. And it's not just robotics. They've been acquiring companies and innovating across the board. In 2016, they acquired Sage Products.
Sage Products, what do they make?
They specialized in infection prevention. Think things like disposable bathing wipes and oral care kits for patients. It's all about making hospitals safer.
Makes sense. Infections are a major concern in hospitals. This aligns with their focus on patient well-being.
It does. That same year, they acquired PhysioControl, a leader in defibrillators and emergency medical equipment. So now they're even involved in saving lives in emergency situations.
That's quite a reach, from surgical robots to life-saving emergency equipment.
They've become a truly comprehensive healthcare company. And then there's Novadaq Technologies, acquired in 2017. They developed fluorescence imaging systems, which allow surgeons to see blood flow in real time during surgery.
That's amazing. Imagine being able to actually see the blood flow. It must be incredibly helpful for surgeries involving blood vessels.
It is. It helps ensure those connections are good, reduces the risk of complications. In 2018, they bolstered their spine offerings by acquiring K2M Group Holdings, a leader in complex spinal implants and minimally invasive technologies. So now they're tackling scoliosis, spinal tumors, all those complex spine issues.
Wow, they're really covering all the bases in orthopedics.
They are. By the end of the 2010s, they had over $14 billion in revenue and more than 40,000 employees. They were a global force.
And more importantly, they were recognized for their innovation, quality, and culture. That 2017 World's Best Workplaces Award speaks volumes.
It does. They managed to stay true to Dr. Stryker's spirit even as they grew into this massive company. They embraced high-tech while still producing essential products like hospital beds. It's a remarkable story of adaptation and growth.
It truly is. And all stemming from one surgeon's desire to do better for his patients. It's inspiring.
It is. And a big part of that success is their company culture. It all started in Dr. Stryker's workshop, where creativity, problem-solving, and respect for healthcare professionals and patients were paramount.
It's fascinating how those early values can shape a company's culture for decades to come.
And that's what happened at Stryker. Even today, with thousands of employees worldwide, those values are still at the core of everything they do.
So what are some of the key elements of that culture?
Well, one of their core values is we do what's right. It's about acting ethically, being honest and transparent, and always putting the patient first.
That's a strong foundation. It builds trust, both internally and externally.
It does. And they take it seriously. They've got a strong code of conduct, regular training, and they really emphasize ethical decision-making at every level.
It's not just words. They actually walk the walk.
They do. Another key phrase at Stryker is, quality is first in everything we do. It goes back to Dr. Stryker rejecting a batch of bed frames because they weren't up to his standards.
It shows a commitment to excellence. They understand that when it comes to medical devices, there's no room for compromise.
That's right. Their testing protocols are rigorous. Quality control is stringent. It's a point of pride for them, and it's why hospitals trust the Stryker brand.
It's a well-earned reputation.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that kind of trust in the medical field.
Absolutely. They also emphasize collaboration. Their mission statement is, together with our customers, we are driven to make healthcare better.
So it's a partnership with healthcare professionals, working together to find solutions.
Exactly. They work closely with surgeons, nurses, getting feedback, making sure their products are practical and meet real needs. The culture at Stryker is fast-paced, performance-driven, but also rewarding.
Sounds like a challenging but stimulating environment.
It is. They encourage talent development, set ambitious goals. There's a real sense of camaraderie, of working towards a common purpose. And a big part of that purpose is innovation.
That's the Stryker DNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always pushing for something better.
Exactly. They want to be both doers who get things done and inventors who are constantly innovating.
And they're not afraid to celebrate their success. Those best companies to work for awards show they're doing something right.
They are, and they're committed to diversity and inclusion. Their board of directors is one of the most diverse in the Fortune 500.
That's impressive. It shows a commitment to representation and diverse perspective.
They've got active employee resource groups, mentorship programs. It's about making sure everyone feels valued and heard.
It creates a richer, more dynamic work environment, and it leads to better innovation.
For sure. When you ask Stryker employees what it's like to work there, they often say it feels like being part of a family, a mission-driven family.
That's a powerful feeling. It's about more than just a paycheck. It's about making a difference.
It is. They're proud of the products they create, knowing they're helping people all over the world, and that pride translates into high employee satisfaction and a strong sense of loyalty.
It's a virtuous cycle. Happy employees lead to better products and services.
And Stryker doesn't just focus inward. They're big on corporate social responsibility. They encourage employee volunteerism, donate to healthcare causes, and are always ready to help during crises.
Like during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Exactly. They developed the emergency relief bed and donated thousands to hospitals. It was a testament to their agility and commitment to global health.
That's incredible. It shows they're willing to step up when it matters most.
And all these things, the ethics, the quality, the innovation, the inclusivity, the purpose, they all weave together to create the Stryker culture. It's what attracts talent, fuels their success, and keeps that legacy of ingenuity alive.
It's a powerful combination. It's what sets them apart.
Okay, so let's jump into the 2020s. This decade has been a roller coaster, right?
Oh, yeah. COVID-19 threw the world a curveball.
Big time. And healthcare companies like Stryker faced huge challenges, supply chain issues, shifting priorities, just a ton of uncertainty.
I can only imagine. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Everyone was scrambling for resources.
Exactly. But Stryker, they adapted quickly. Their engineers developed the emergency relief bed specifically for the pandemic.
So they were able to pivot and address the urgent need for hospital beds.
They did. Within weeks, they ramped up production and started shipping them all over the world. They also increased production of stretchers, PPE components, anything hospitals needed desperately.
It's impressive how quickly they responded. They were able to leverage their expertise and resources to make a real difference.
They were, and they didn't let the pandemic derail their long-term plans. They actually finalized a major acquisition during this time. Wright Medical Group NV, a leader in extremities implants.
So even amidst the chaos, they were making strategic moves for the future.
They were. It was a complex integration, but they pulled it off. Now they had implants for shoulders, elbows, feet, ankles, everything. They were truly comprehensive in orthopedics.
That's a testament to their organizational strength and strategic vision.
It is, and the innovation didn't stop. In 2021, they acquired OrthoSensor, a company that makes smart sensor technology for joint replacements.
Smart sensors, what do they do?
These sensors are implanted with the joint replacement and provide surgeons with real-time data during surgery. Things like ligament tension, joint balance. It helps ensure the implant is placed perfectly.
So they're bringing the power of data and digital technology into the operating room. That's the future of surgery.
It is. It's about making surgeries more precise, more predictable, and ultimately improving outcomes. Then in 2022, they acquired Vocera Communications, a company known for its communication badges used in hospitals.
Communication badges.
Yeah. Imagine a nurse being able to instantly call for a specific type of Stryker bed or access patient data on the go.
I see. It's about improving communication and workflow within hospitals.
Exactly. It's all about making hospitals more connected, more efficient, and ultimately safer for patients.
So they're not just focusing on the devices, they're thinking about the whole ecosystem of care.
They are. They're also making strides in specific products. In 2022, they launched the Q Guidance System for spine surgery. It's a sophisticated navigation platform that gives surgeons incredibly precise guidance during complex spine procedures.
It's like having a GPS for spine surgery.
Exactly. And they've already designed it to be compatible with their robotic arms, so they're working on a Mako spine system.
That's exciting, bringing robotics to even more complex surgeries.
It is. In fact, by late 2024, they had successfully completed the first surgeries using a prototype of the Mako spine robot.
That's a huge milestone. It opens up so many possibilities for spine surgery.
It does. And remember, the Wright Medical acquisition.
The extremities company.
Yeah. In 2023, they launched the ProStep MIS Lapidus system for bunion surgery. It's a minimally invasive system, meaning smaller incisions, less pain, faster recovery.
That's great for patients. Less pain, faster healing. Who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. And it reflects a broader trend in surgery, less invasive whenever possible. They're also continually updating their core products, hospital beds, stretchers, emergency equipment. They've even got new defibrillators that can transmit patient data to the hospital while they're still in the ambulance.
So they're constantly innovating, even on their tried and true products.
They are. And they're expanding into new areas like ENT, acquiring a company called Arinex in 2019. They developed a cryotherapy device for treating chronic rhinitis.
Cryotherapy. So they're freezing those nerves that cause congestion. That's an interesting approach.
It is. It's a minimally invasive, often office-based procedure, which is a growing trend in healthcare. But Stryker isn't just focusing on high-tech. They're also committed to serving emerging markets.
Makes sense. There's a huge need for quality healthcare in developing countries.
There is. And CEO Kevin Lobo has been vocal about Stryker's commitment to providing affordable and accessible products in these markets. They acquired Trauson in China in 2013 and have been developing products specifically for the needs and budgets of countries like India and those in Africa and Southeast Asia.
So they're not just selling their existing products, they're creating solutions tailored to specific needs.
They are. They've even established innovation centers in places like India, where engineers are developing cost-effective solutions that can be used globally. It's a win-win. They tap into new markets and help improve global healthcare access.
It's a smart strategy, and it aligns with their mission of making healthcare better for everyone.
It does, and the results speak for themselves. Despite the pandemic, they've bounced back strong. By 2022, sales were over $17 billion.
That's remarkable. It shows they're a resilient company, able to navigate difficult times.
And they're not just about the numbers. They estimate that by 2025, over 150 million patients worldwide will be treated using a Stryker product every year.
That's a huge number. They're having a real impact on a global scale.
They are. They've truly become a comprehensive medical technology provider, fulfilling that vision that John Brown had decades ago.
So what does the future hold for Stryker?
Well, one thing's for sure, innovation will continue to be.